All right. We wrap things up on the podcast as always by welcoming in Cam Tucker. Between the lines, PlayNow.com, BCLC. Cam, first question. Have you got all your sleep back after staying up all night and monitoring those World Series games?
Oh my gosh, fellas. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of sleep the last week. I know we're talking gonna switch to football here in the next little bit, but what an exciting World Series. I mean, I was glued to the TV the whole time. And we even cut short some trick-or-treating on Friday night just to get back inside to watch
There you go.
watch the game. So yeah, it was quite exciting. But hey, the World Series is done, and we got the West final and the East final coming up in the CFL playoffs. So it should be quite exciting this weekend.
All right, let's get on with it. First time in several weeks where we're talking about a Lions team that's an underdog. 3-point Saskatchewan favorite as of now.
Yeah, we've seen this line kind of go a little bit back and forth, 3 points, 3.5 points. And yeah, this is it now. This is a really interesting matchup. You've got the BC Lions who are red hot going up against the Saskatchewan Roughriders team that has kind of, had things in hand for the last 4 weeks, right? Haven't played a meaningful game in close to a month. They've locked up the West. They get the rest and the bye week, and they were able to, as we saw in the final matchup of the season, rest some of their starters a little bit. And yeah, it's a really interesting matchup. The Lions are 1-2 against the Rough Riders straight up this season. I think the first two games, you look at where the Lions were in their evolution. They obviously had a lot to work on. Nathan Rourke didn't play in the first meeting between these two teams. He played in the second game back at BC Place. And, the first matchup of the season between these two teams, the Lions couldn't stop the run game for Saskatchewan. Go to the second game of the season at BC Place. The Lions secondary couldn't stop the pass game for the Rough Riders. But I would say that the BC Lions have certainly improved significantly on the defensive side of the ball this season, as the season's gone along, and their offense continues to be the best offense in the CFL. So this is a really interesting matchup. I'm not surprised that the Lions are underdogs going into this game. You look at the environment that they're going to be playing in; it's a hostile environment. Saskatchewan was obviously the best team in the West Division this year, but they were really good at home too. So this is going to be a tough game for the Lions. The environment's going to be hostile. The weather is going to be cold, and it should be a really interesting matchup because you pit the best offense in the CFL up against the second ranked defense in the CFL. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup, and I'm really interested to see how the Lions operate their offense. Saskatchewan doesn't give up much in the run game. They're a really good team defensively on second downs. So the BC Lions, what kind of game script are they going to go into this matchup with? It is really interesting. And fellas, looking at the weather reports for this week, I know you guys are all prepped and ready with your winter stuff. And the last check I had on the weather was -4 during the
Perfect.
afternoon, dipping down to about -10 at night. And so that, if you add in a little bit of wind, there's going to be some extra bite in this game. So I'm really interested to see how this matchup plays out. The over under is 53.5. And at those cold temperatures, I do start to wonder, are we going to see a really run heavy defensive battle between these two teams? Saskatchewan right now, the under is 5-0 in the last 5 games. So you add in the weather element as well. I think that this is a really interesting matchup. And the Lions have been significantly better the second half of the season than they were in the first half. And they go into Regina as the hottest team in the CFL.
Cam, obviously, this Lions offense revolves around Nathan Rourke. When looking at his performances against the Rough Riders this season, what have you found out?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, we just talked about Saskatchewan not giving up much in the run game, but where they might have been susceptible at times in the season was in the pass game. And the BC Lions love to throw the football. They have the best passing attack in the CFL. And Nathan Rourke is obviously a massive reason for that. Looking at the numbers, the first game against Saskatchewan, he throws for 337 yards back at BC Place. They go into Regina needing a win to lock up home field in in the first round of the playoffs. He throws for 368. And you look at both of those games, he has a total of 6 touchdown passes against Regina. So, or against Saskatchewan. So if you look at this matchup, Nathan Rourke, we talked about this last week, is the X factor on offense. Like this is what puts teams over the top, is having that type of quarterback that is so dynamic, can make big plays. And I look at, the game against Calgary. That's not the Lions' best effort offensively. Very un-Nathan Rourke-like numbers in the past game. Obviously, you had the big run. He scored a rushing touchdown, but no zero touchdown passes. We don't see that from Nathan Rourke very often. I can't see that happening against Saskatchewan this weekend. And the other thing too is, when the Lions needed a big play, we talked all season about this big play offense. Well, when they needed a big play to set up the game-winning field goal with 3 seconds left, it's Nathan Rourke throwing an absolute dime to Justin McInnis. That's your big gain. And Justin McInnis, with the awareness to go down, obviously you stop the clock, kick the field goal, and you move on to the next week. I just think that when you have a player of Nathan Rourke's caliber, that is what can put your team over the top in a situation like this. And they're going to need this offense to be at their best. I don't know, looking at the run game, it's been a bit of a struggle lately. And then you look at how Saskatchewan has effectively taken away the run game for opposing offenses over the last few weeks. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Nathan Rourke, but I think he's certainly going to be up to the challenge, and he's been productive against the Roughriders this year.
Lastly, the bet boost, big game, Western Final. I know you're bringing your best, Cam. So what are you looking at this weekend?
Yeah, well, we just talked about it. Nathan Rourke. I think that we're going to look at some of his passing milestones. Maybe not so much passing yards, but definitely I'm interested to see, passing touchdowns. Maybe we'll go with 2+ passing touchdowns for Nathan Rourke, and then we'll probably tie this to a result. I would say, given the stakes, given the fact that there's a berth in the Grey Cup on the line in this game, we'll probably tie this to the money line. So I would look for Nathan Rourke 2+ touchdown passes and the BC Lions to win this game up at PlayNow later this week. And it should be a good game. I mean, this is what you play all season for, is to have this one shot to get into the Grey Cup. And I think this will be a really interesting matchup. This is a huge test for this team. And they have shown since September, they haven't lost a game since early September. That's pretty remarkable. I think that this is a big test for them. And I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it will have been over 2 months since the last defeat in Ottawa. Listen, my friend, clutch as always. Always love the energy we bring, and let's go get some wins here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. Take care.
Cam Tucker wrapping up First and Now, a little between the lines. And we're back next week.